amazing. I I hope nobody's made that joke yet. Hey, awesome friends. I am Awesome Danny, and you know my associate Sonny McSunnerson. He's currently on lunch break. So today I want to tell you about my experience with the Simgot EW200. It is a $40 single dynamic driver set from Simgot, and it's pretty good. I actually really like this set. It's probably my favorite set under $100, and I'm going to tell you why. But first, if you enjoyed my content, please make sure that you like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Also, I would like to thank Simgot for sending this out to me for a review. They didn't ask me to say anything in particular, and if they did, then we wouldn't be doing the review. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I actually ended up using this set for more than just music. I ended up really liking it for gaming as well. Previously I was using its older brother, the EA500, for gaming, less so for music, but it really did a good job in gaming. But having its little brother here, I decided why not test it there as well. So I'll get into that after I go through the sound breakdown, but let's start off with what you actually get. So this is the packaging, the box. Whoever's in charge of the packaging and presentation for Simgot, they're doing it a great job. Like, I had the same experience here with a $40 set than I did with the EA500, which is what, an $80 set. It's just so simple but elegant. I guess just like the name, I believe that's something relating to the name, Simply Elegant. And I'll have some pictures posted up, but it's just the presentation is great, and the look and the aesthetic that the company is going for is solid. I love it. They do a really good job, and it's great. I love it. Keep it up. Can't wait to see the next thing. And it's just because of the unboxings. The unboxings are great. They're fun, and it really feels like part of the experience, and that experience elevates the value of the product, in my opinion. All right, so again, that was the box. This is what you get in the box. It's actually kind of minimalistic. You don't get too much. Again, it is a $40 set, but it feels very, very well built. A lot of the budget seems to have gone into the IEM themselves. So you get a little carrying pouch, which I actually used. It's really nice when you get a nice soft carrying pouch instead of a hard case sometimes, because you can just throw this in your pocket or something. And again, since I use these with gaming, it was really easy to also just throw in the pouch, throw in my bag, throw in my pocket, whatever, take it on the go, do some gaming on the go. You get 3 pairs of ear tips. I ended up using medium. They're okay, plenty passable, but I did have a better time using some other third-party ear tips that I had. So here are the shells. Very nice, simple metal build. Do not take these with you if you're, gonna commit crimes or something. Not that I endorse that, but if you drop these at the crime scene, they're gonna have your fingerprints, and they'll be able to easily track you down. There's a right angle termination for the cable. The cable's actually really pretty. You can see it there on camera. It's like one silver strand and one gold strand, and it looks really, really nice. The material is pretty malleable. It does tangle on itself sometimes, but in use it's completely fine. There's no issues at all. Here is the splitter. It's a rubber splitter with the logo and the brand name, and it goes to the IEM. So again, cable is nice. It feels pretty good quality for the price point. Probably one of the best cables I've seen in something at this price point. So as for the fit, they actually fit very well. The shell is on the smaller side. There was only one issue I had. It's just that if you look on the shell itself, there's a little port right there behind the nozzle. So when you're putting these in, again, this might be just me because of my ear shape, but I would accidentally cover that sometimes while inserting them. And if you do that, you get driver flex. So I would remedy this by using longer nozzle or longer ear tips. Your mileage will vary depending on how it fits you. All right, so now let's go into the sound breakdown. So starting with the bass. Again, we're going to be comparing this a lot to his older brother, the EA500, because who doesn't love being compared to their older sibling? So bass on the EA500 would roll off towards the end, and that would emphasize the mid bass more, make it clean and impactful, but then you would have the roll off and it wouldn't sound as full. So this was fixed with the EW200. There's no bass roll off. Bass is actually very good on this set. It feels like a very good driver in these. There is good layering and dynamics within the bass. It feels alive instead of it being very flat. And the mid bass is, again, due to the sub bass being more present, it's a little less emphasized, but it's still there. So you get the full bass with the layering. The rumble is there under the mid bass, and it's just very satisfying to have those layers within the bass. That's something I personally really enjoy. Reminds me a little bit of the Truth Ear Zero Red, the Critical collaboration, which I actually enjoyed the sub bass on that set as well. As for the mids here, they're pretty linear. There's no like lower mid bass tuck. It's a pretty gentle glide into the mids, so you're not getting too thin of a sound. There is adequate note weight there. Mids are, clear. They could be a little bit better separated, but honestly, at the price point, that would be more of a nitpick instead of a criticism, because they're plenty there and they're enjoyable. Then you go into the upper mids and there is a gain there similar to the EA500, where some people might have found it a little too fatiguing going into the upper mids and into the mid treble. But since we have the sub bass on this set and no roll off, it makes it more balanced. It feels more full and balanced and not necessarily as fatiguing. There is slight metallic timbre, a little zing, especially in like female vocals because of that high energy, but it is pretty detailed and it has that intensity I really like. There's that sharpness, and again, especially in female vocals, that intensity, the little sharp wispiness that I enjoy at the trailing end of vocals that helps define them. It's all there. And then going into treble, again, slightly metallic. It is pretty intense, and there is an adequate amount of air. Not a lot, it's just average for the sub 100 price point. All right, so touching on the techs of the EW200. So the driver that's in this set is very capable, highly capable in my opinion. It is able to really keep up with a lot of fast-paced tracks. So there's very good separation and imaging because of that. The macro detailing is actually very good, and I would consider it above the price point. Micro detailing, which again to me is the resolution of the details, is average, maybe a little bit above average. But the macro detailing, which is just the separation and getting the detail in its entirety, that is above average. There is good separation. It helps all of that, which is something that I feel like helps with gaming. All right, so moving on into my gaming experience with these. So them being a pretty small ergonomic shell, it was great to game with these. There was no issues. Long gaming sessions, if you're anything like me, you don't game for short amounts of time. You kind of just sit there and waste your entire day away. So compared to its older brother, the EA500, which I really liked for competitive shooters or any type of PvP gaming, these also kept up with the EA500. The EA500 edged it out a bit in the finer micro detailing and the sharpness, but these having the build out base made them a lot better for more immersive stuff. So these were a little bit more well-rounded for both types of genres. So if you wanted to do something immersive like a single player game, these were better than the EA500. And if you want to do something like competitive PvP, for example, shooters, they do a good enough job where I could recommend either or. You can say, if you want something only for competitive PvP shooters, get the EA500. If you want something more well-rounded that can do both and can do the shooting or the shooters almost as well, then get this guy. And this guy's half the price. So this guy is just a lot better rounded in the aspect that you can do music, that you can do competitive gaming and casual immersive gaming, which I really liked about this. So going further into the imaging, again with the macro detailing and separation, it made it very easy to keep track of opponents. You were able to better anticipate encounters since, you know, you were able to follow their footsteps better. Gunshots were also clear and concise in their positioning and direction. And it being a good quality driver, when things got busier, the separation was good enough to keep the audio cues separate from all the mayhem that you would encounter. Grenades going off, gunshots going off. So if we want to compare this to a couple of sets in its price range, I know I've been comparing it to the EA500 the entire time. Again, if you want something just for gaming, just for shooters, get the EA500. It is better than this at doing that job, and they're both just as comfortable. They're both just as well built. They both feel as premium. This does not feel like a $40 set, and I feel like it doesn't sound like a $40 set either. EA500, $80 set, also gives the impression of higher price point, both in build and sound. So for example, Truth Ear Zero, the original one, Truth Ear Blue. I would consider that one just a bit better than this, maybe in competitive shooters on the imaging aspect, just because it has two dynamic drivers and it's able to separate stuff a little bit better. But in the finer details, these are probably better. These are going to be easier to recommend. Again, smaller size shell. The nozzle's not as big as the Truth Ear Zero. In that regard, Truth Ear Zero Red is not as good for gaming, but probably better for music. I liked both of the Truth Ear Zeros for music. I only liked the original for gaming, but I know some people like one or the other. The red is very neutrally tuned and some might consider kind of boring. The blue one, some people might consider too intense, and then it has a sub bass roll off. I liked both. This guy is just right up there with them as well, but this is what, $10-15 cheaper, and build feels a lot better here on the EW200. All right, so just to recap, Simgot EW200, great set, only $40. I say only because this feels like it has a higher value. You're getting a lot for what you paid for. The only suggestion I guess I would give is maybe get some nicer ear tips if these don't work for you. I'm able to use the stock ones fine, but again, I just had extra ones, swap to those. Great experience all around, great for gaming, great for music, really good all-arounder. My favorite set, probably under $100, and easy to recommend to anybody that wants a good budget, well-rounded set that can do it all, basically. All right, guys, that's it for me. I am Awesome Danny, and thank you. And until next time, you stay awesome. Good night.